Hi everybody, I am Christy. Welcome into the Ramsey Ranch kitchen. My husband Brooks and I, our home is here in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. And today is a very, very special recipe that is near and dear to my heart. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. We are collaborating with 7 other wonderful channels for National Brunch Month. April is National Brunch Month, and all 8 of us will be putting out a special brunch episode. So today is that episode. We have been on some field trips. We have gone all over the whole region to collect special ingredients to make these items. Now, you can make them at home too. You can use whatever you can source from your house, and we'll tell you exactly how to do that. But I wanted to pay tribute to the foodways of the Smokies and Appalachia. My husband is a local here in the Smokies. His grandparents founded the area. So this is near and dear to us. We are going to be making some highfalutin hillbilly egg bites. We've got some local ramps here. Now, if you don't know what ramps are, we're going to talk more about that later. And Benton's smoked bacon. If you don't know what Bentons is, we will also talk more about that later, but Bentons is like the king of bacon around here. And then we're also going to be making a sweet cornmeal pudding that was put out by the Great Smoky Mountains Association back in 1957, and it hails back to way before then. And we've got some locally ground cornmeal and flour from our friends over at Valentine Mills, and some wonderful sorghum syrup that is going to sweeten this pudding from our friends up at Muddy Pond. And of course, we're working with eggs, so we've got some chickens out back that we're happy to donate for this video as well. So I hope that you will come along with us and learn a little bit about us and learn a new recipe that is actually an old recipe, and then a modern take on an old tradition. So I hope that you'll come along with us.
Oh, it's a simple living in the hills of Tennessee. But Brooks and Christy say that's the life for me.
All right, we're starting with the sweet stuff first. We got sorghum syrup. Oh, yummy. So I found this recipe in an old cookbook put out by the Great Smoky Mountains Association. It's called Mountain Makings in the Smokies, and it's got a lot of, corn recipes. Well, because back in the day, the folks from, who settled here, that's what they had. And so they made basically everything from cornmeal. But I liked the first paragraph of the preface of this cookbook because it really just conveys kind of what I'm trying to do here, or what I am trying to show, and well, as the folks here might say, learn you. I am not Southern. My husband is. I'm married in, but I so love the culture. The early settlers in the Great Smokies were of necessity a self-sufficient folk. Isolated as they were, they had to grow their own food. Those were the days before supermarkets. Cornmeal was a staple item. Molasses was used in cooking, and honey for table sweetening. Each little farm had its own cornfield, its sorghum patch, and its bee gums. Somewhere along in the creek was a small bill where the corn was ground into cornmeal. And they cooked with what they had. And so I thought that we would go back in time just a little bit and show you a sweet cornmeal pudding that they would make back in the day. But I'm going to fancy it up just a little bit, and we're going to make a blackberry compote just to be a little bit fancy schmancy. So in this bowl, I have 2 cups of the Valentine Mills yellow stone ground cornmeal and 1 cup of the Valentine Mills fresh ground flour. And I'm just going to take my little Danish dough whisk here and incorporate that all together. Just simple. For our spices, I have a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice and 1 teaspoon each of salt and baking soda. So that's going to be your leavening and your spices. I'm sure that allspice was a very common spice back in the day. So that looks good enough. Okay, so now I'm adding in 1 cup of buttermilk and our eggs, 2 eggs. All right, so I'm gonna mix that in, just on a low speed. Kind of a crumbly so far. All right, simple enough. And I have a cup of shortening. Now they might have used lard. You could use oil. You could use butter. This is a palm fruit shortening. It's a very healthy shortening that a little more of a modern method, but it will be delicious. And then the magic ingredient. So this is Muddy Pond sorghum. At the end of the video, there's going to be a little montage of how we sourced all of these ingredients and how you can get them too if you want them. And this is 1 cup of sorghum, and this is often how folks would sweeten their food. They couldn't get white sugar. So they use sorghum, or sorghum molasses as some folks call it. So that was how they did it. Oh, I bet this is going to be so good. I have not made this before, y'all, but I'm pretty confident that it'll be amazing. So I just need to mix all that in. Super simple cake to put together. It's not a cake, it's a pudding. All right. That looks awesome. All right, so the instructions on the recipe say to put it in a pudding pan, which is like a bundt pan. I am going a little bit more simple. I'm going to use this long loaf pan. And when it's done, I think we're going to slice it into slices, kind of like maybe a pound cake, and put the compote on top. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into the pan. Got a little sorghum on there. That ain't gonna hurt nothing, I'll tell you what. And this pan is a very nonstick pan, so I don't need to butter it or oil it. It's really fabulous. Have you had sorghum syrup? Sorghum is similar to a molasses. It has a very distinct flavor. It has almost its own, I guess it's a twang. If you've never had sorghum syrup, you know, often they would just eat it on biscuits, cornbread, but they use it as a sweetener. So we have this wonderful cake, puddin. I keep calling it cake because it looks like a cake batter, but it is a puddin. And we are going to actually put this in a 350-degree oven for I think it said 20 to 22 minutes, and we'll be back when it's done. So I've got our cornmeal pudding in the oven, and it's at 350. Now, actually, the recipe in the book did not give us a time. I've started it at 22 minutes, and we'll see where it goes from there. But before I start the blackberry compote and show you how we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about the April Brunch Month collaboration with the 8 other wonderful channels. I believe our first video went out yesterday, and that was from Miss Karen Jones from Karen Jones Food and Family. And then I'm today, so I'm the Ramsey Ranch Kitchen. By the way, subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you come visit with us about once a week. And then we've got Miss Lori from Whipoorwill Holler, Miss Vickie from Vickie's Country Home, Miss Mel from In the Kitchen with Momma Mel, and then we've got Chef Jason from Lunch and Uncle Jason's. He's awesome. You will enjoy him. He's like the Cajun cook of us all. We've got Miss Betty from Pretirement Days, and then we also have the sweet Miss Linda from Easy Cooking with Linda B. So we need you to head over to all those channels and see what they are cooking up for brunch. This is April 5th through the 12th. So if you're watching this after that in 2025, you can go to the playlist, which is linked below, and see each one of those videos. But I'm just so glad to have y'all here. So let's go make some blackberry compote. We're going to top our baked cornmeal pudding with a blackberry compote. I'm going to use about a cup of blackberries. I'm saving a few aside for a garnish. I'm going to turn my heat on about a medium. And I'm adding in about a tablespoon and a half of raw sugar. You can use whatever sugar you would like. And 2 teaspoons of lemon juice and 2 teaspoons of water. And that's all that this takes. And we're just going to mix it up and let it reduce down into a beautiful compote.
On the Ramsey Ranch, love's a secret spice. Brunch from the heart, each taste is precise. Crafted with intention, the ingredients shine. Cooking in this kitchen, the food looks so fine.
Look at that beautiful blackberry compote. That is going to go so well over a wonderful sweet cornmeal pudding. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to try this. Our cornmeal pudding is done. It smells simply amazing. It took about 45 minutes. I think it might have fallen a little because I tested it a little too early, but I don't think that's going to affect the taste. Okay, friends, it is time to start our highfalutin Appalachian hillbilly egg bites. And the first thing we need to do is go ahead and chop up some ramps. I did pre-chop our bacon. You don't need to see me chop bacon, but you may not know how to chop a ramp. Well, you chop it basically the same way as you would a green or a spring onion, because a ramp is basically a wild version of a leek / garlic / onion hybrid. It was brought here from Scotland by the folks that settled in the mountains, and now you can find them all over the country in the mountains. It is a big deal in the South, and it really is just kind of a big deal everywhere. People celebrate ramps. It means spring is here. They consider them very medicinal. There are ramp festivals. My husband introduced me to ramps, and I'm excited about ramps every year now. They are a very strong tasting leek or garlic. If you can't get ramps, you can actually mince up a couple of cloves of garlic and then use the greens from like a spring onion, 4 or 5 of those, and get a similar flavor as what we're going to get here. You could also maybe use chives, so that would work too. But I'm going to go ahead and just chop these up. And it has a bulb on the end, just like any onion does in the ground. And if you watch till the end, you'll see a little montage that I put together that my husband Brooks wrote. And our friend Billy, thank you so much, Billy, actually has these growing wild on her property. And so she invited us over to go ahead and get some. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop these up fine. And you do chop the whole thing, all of it. You chop the green. You chop the bulb, and I've got about 6 of them here because we're making 12 of the highfalutin hillbilly egg bites. Oh, first of all, ramps have their very own unique smell, and there is just no way to describe, but it's potent like garlic, but even nicer. It's nicer than garlic, in my opinion. You can eat these raw. However, if you eat them raw, you might stink a little. You might stink a little for a day or so. Brooks tells a story about his dad would eat ramps in the springtime, and the smell would come through his pores, and his school teacher would make him sit in the hallway because he thought he was going to get out of school. No such luck. So I'm just going to bring this in a little bit closer so you can see. They're all chopped up nice and fine. All right, we're going back over the stove. We're going to fry some bacon, and then we're going to fry some ramps. In my iron skillet, I have 5 diced up slices of Benton's smoked bacon, and we are just going to cook this down until they are nice and crispy.
Woke to the scent of Benton's sizzling heat. Christy's hands are dancing, creating something sweet. Rams fresh on the counter, rich flavors intertwine. In every bite we share, the morning starts to shine. On the Ramsey Ranch, love's a secret spice. Brunch from the heart, each taste is precise. Crafted with intention, the ingredients shine. Cooking in this kitchen, the food looks so fine.
Our bacon is done. It's nice and crispy. I'm going to use my spider strainer here to take out the bacon and drain it on a paper towel and save that grease for the ramps. I've reserved probably 2 to 3 tablespoons of the Benton's bacon grease. They are going to flavor our ramps. Of course, ramps have their own flavor, but add in that smoky bacon flavor and you have a little bit of heaven going on in that pan. Oh. Smell-o-vision. I say it every time. It needs to be invented. Oh my goodness, if you could just smell the aromas of this pan. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm ranting and raving a little bit. So we just have these in our iron skillet. Heat's on about between a medium-low and a medium. On my stove, it's on a 4. Oh my goodness. I think Brooks is over there going to probably salivate. This is the one meal a year, and we usually do it a little bit. There is a traditional way that he does it every year, but we're kind of doing it a highfalutin way this year. The recipe that we are making of these is a Starbucks copycat, but we are making a hillbilly. We were making hillbilly but egg bites. Just stir everything around. It doesn't take very long. 2 minutes maybe 2 minutes. You want them to be soft. You want them to be pretty much cooked through. You do not want to burn them. So I'd love to know if you've ever had ramps, if it's something you would consider getting. Now, if you want ramps and you can't find ramps where you're at, if you look on Etsy and do a search for fresh ramps, people will mail them to you if you buy them, and they're really not altogether that expensive. They are now considered a highfalutin chef's ingredient these days. Michelin star chefs are sourcing ramps. So what was just a way of getting by is now a luxury. So quick history lesson about Brooks's family name, which is Ramsey, i.e. the Ramsey Ranch. His last name is Ramsey, which is Scottish for the word Hramsa, H-R-A-M-S-A. Hramsa is the Scottish language. I can't think of what the actual language is, but is for Hamza is wild leek or wild onion. And they are the ones who brought these to America. And so I'm basically married to a wild onion. Ramsey is a wild onion. Kind of cool. So this is very much something that harkens back to his family. All right, I think we're pretty much done here. I'm just going to take them out of the pan and wipe the bacon grease, kind of Get some of that excess grease off, and then we are going to put together our egg bites. We are ready to put together the highfalutin hillbilly egg bites. All right, so I mentioned before this is sort of a Starbucks copycat recipe, but with my own hillbilly highfalutin spin here. I've got, well, it's actually 7 eggs because one of our hens lays small eggs. So 6 eggs is what normally you would use. I've got 3/4 of a cup of cottage cheese. And I'm just gonna measure with some love, some pepper. Measuring with my heart. We like pepper, so I'm not gonna be stingy. And I've got some sea salt here. All right, so we're just gonna blend these up. Easy as that. Easy as that. All right, I've got my ramps here. Now, it doesn't look like a whole lot, but ramps are pretty potent, so you don't need a whole lot. And if you want more, you can always eat a raw one on the side. I've got my bacon, and I've got Swiss and Gruyere cheese. So that is what we're gonna put in these lovely egg bites. I'm gonna use a brownie pan. It's from Pampered Chef. Those who don't know, I am a Pampered Chef consultant, and well, I have everything just about, but this is a brownie pan. I thought that these would be really nice in a square, so we're going to use that. You could certainly use your muffin pan or whatever kind of pan you would like to use. All right, take that off, and we're just going to pour these to about half full. All right, so I am going to sprinkle in bacon first. Let's not be skimpy on the bacon. Benton's bacon, and you'll see a little bit of this at the end when we do the little montage of all the field trips we took to collect the ingredients. Has its own very distinct smoky smell because they smoke the bacon, and it's amazing. It's beautiful thick cut bacon, and it fried up so nice. The ramps, I'm just gonna use my fingers. I'm just gonna poke it down in there. It smells so yummy. I think I've said that 10 times already. All right, we've got all of our ramps in. Now we're gonna go in with the Swiss and Gruyere cheese. This is from Aldi. I'm just gonna put a nice little amount right on top and finish it off with the rest of that bacon. Couple little pieces for each one. I'm gonna have to beg Peter to pay Paul over here. I've used them all. All right. Okay. So these are gonna go in the oven at 350 for, this was the 20 to 22 minute recipe. And then we will show you everything when we get back. All right, y'all. I'm gonna cut into our cornmeal pudding, which it basically looks like a cake. But I think they would call a cake a pudding. What we would call a cake, they would call a pudding back then. It's still just a little bit warm, not much. Ooh. Oh, wow. Oh, that looks so good. How rich and beautiful that is. Oh, yummy. All right, so I am actually going to put it on this plate with some of this wonderful blackberry compote. Yum. I bet that's going to be awesome. I think I'm going to try dessert first. What do you think? Why not? I think I will. And I don't think anyone's going to fault me. And then we're going to take just a little more of this wonderful sorghum and drizzle a little more of that on top. Yes, please. All right, I'm ready. I've been cooking all afternoon, and I want to try dessert first. Brooks is in there watching me, saying, "Where's mine?" He'll get some. Wow. Mmm. That is lovely. It is not super overly sweet. To me, it is just enough sweet. Kind of as I'm getting older, I don't love a lot of sweet. And then the tartness of those blackberries and the sorghum flavor, that all melts together so well. Y'all, anyone can make this. This is super easy. And sorghum is very easy to get. I'm going to link the website below. Or you can just, however you can source sorghum. Sorghum is not hard to get. That is wonderful. You get just a tiny little bit of the grit from the cornmeal, but it's not much. It's very moist in comparison to a cornbread. And of course it is sweet. That's a winner. All right, we are waiting on our egg bites, and we will be right back for those. Here's a visual of what our wonderful cornmeal pudding with the blackberry compote looks like. Yummy. And our egg bites are finished. They look wonderful. I've got a couple of the raw ramps on top, so let's have a taste test. Our egg bites are done. I have just shown them to you prior to the taste test here. I've got some raw ramps on top. And then, of course, we have our beautiful cornmeal pudding cake. All right, so I am going to go ahead and try this. Let's break it in half. Definitely can see all those ingredients in there. You can smell them too. Wow. Wow. Flavor bomb, or flavor town, however you want to say it. This is not your Starbucks egg bite, which I'm sure are good. The Bentons bacon is the star, followed by the ramps, which you could definitely use more ramps if you want a rampy flavor, but I think this is just enough. And I actually want to take just a little of the raw ramp. That pairs so well with this. And then you've got the Swiss and Gruyere cheese. That is a mild cheese, and it actually just ties it all up into a nice little package that you've got here. Those are awesome. If I had to change anything, I wouldn't add any additional salt, especially if you're using a cured bacon like Benton's. They are just a tad salty. Not like, you know, briny, but I wasn't thinking about that when I made the recipe. I was like, I didn't count for the bacon. But that being said, Brooks has already tried them and has said just save that plate for him and he'll just be happy to eat it later. Well, he's going to have to share. But I love these. These are great. Wish I had made more. I hope that you have enjoyed hanging out with us here in the Ramsey Ranch kitchen and seeing all of these great local to the Smoky Mountains region ingredients. There is, again, going to be a little fun song at the end with a montage of the places that we've been, so you can kind of go on the field trip with us. And all of that is in the description box as well. If you decide you would love to get some Benton's bacon or some Muddy Pond sorghum or some Valentine Mills cornmeal or flour, or they've got jams and jellies too, y'all. And then ramps, well, you could find those on Etsy unless you know someone that you can get some ramps from. Thank you again to Billy. So I hope that every single one of you will go check out the other 7 channels in the National Brunch Month collaboration, a celebration of friends. We have had so much fun planning this series. We've grown friendships, and we are all spread out all over. Some of us are in the Northeast, some are in the South, and Miss Vickie is way out in Nevada. So it has just been great fun to have a YouTube community and just to share the love of food, and for us to share the love of our area and my husband's heritage. And I love sharing his heritage as well. So if you liked the video, we're just going to ask you to give us a thumbs up. That helps us. If you loved us, go ahead and subscribe. It's free. It helps us. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers on this channel, which helps us even more. So if you could subscribe and share our video out, we would love to spend more time with you. And hit the notification bell that notifies you when we post a new video. But for now, happy brunch. I hope that you will make this for your mom's day or for Easter or anytime. These are not difficult and they're wonderful. But we love you, get you in that kitchen and cook you up something good. And you have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Scent of Benton's sizzling heat. Christy's hands are dancing, creating something sweet. Rams fresh on the counter, rich flavors intertwine. In every bite we share, the morning starts to shine. On the Ramsey Ranch, love's a secret spice. Brunch from the heart, each taste is precise. Crafted with intention, the ingredients shine. Cooking in this kitchen, the food looks so fine. Chickens in the yard, fresh eggs on the plate, muddy pond sorghum drizzle, sweetness we can't wait. Sitting down at the table, laughs fill up the room. Christy's meals are magic, sweeping away the gloom. On the Ramsey Ranch, love's the secret spice. Brunch from the heart, each taste is precise. Crafted with intention, the ingredients shine. Cooking in this kitchen, food looks so fine. The day winds down, there's warmth in the air. Christy's smile lingers, love is everywhere. Each bite we savor, where our spirit thrives. On the Ramsey Ranch, this is where joy survives. On the Ramsey Ranch, love's a secret spice. Brunch from the heart, each taste is precise. Crafted with intention, the ingredients shine. Cooking in this kitchen, the food looks so, so fine. On the Ramsey Ranch, love's the secret spice. Brunch from the heart, each taste is precise. Crafted with intention, the ingredients shine. Cooking in this kitchen, the food looks so, so fine.
Billy's got us some wonderful ramps here. Look at that. Beautiful.